Hello everyone, George here with Minuttia and Growth Waves. I would like to thank you very much for joining me on this video. And it's been a while since I made one of these videos, but there are many things that are happening right now with content marketing, and many changes, many interesting changes, and many new tools that we can leverage and ways of understanding and crafting content strategies. So I would like to share one of these things with you, and I would like to start from the beginning, take things from the beginning, right? And the beginning is where? The beginning is at Screaming Frog, which recently, in its latest version / update, they essentially added a bunch of new features, and now they added with this latest update, they added the feature or the ability, in other words, of essentially scraping content from a list of URLs that you will feed the tool with, and based on that content, generate what's called as vector embeddings, right? You have different options when it comes to where you will get these embeddings from, but one of the most obvious places to seek these embeddings is OpenAI, right? And the API that OpenAI offers, which we are going to discuss in a minute. So first of all, to be able to get something out of this, and stay with me because things will get more clear as we progress in this video, but to be able to get information and essentially analyze the data and make a meaning out of the data you have to have some certain inputs, right? And the inputs in our case, for the sake of this exercise, this project, are two. We analyze Minuttia's content inventory. Let me start by saying that, which is a very small content inventory, right? We have somewhere around 40 pieces of content published on our website, and we have two inputs here, as you can see. We have Minuttia content inventory, which is this file over here. And we also have Minuttia organic keywords, which is this file over here. And the first is an export from Screaming Frog. Having vector embeddings for each of the pieces, we gave to the scraper, the tool, inside the sheet. And the second one is the organic keywords that our website ranks for. And this is an export from Ahrefs, but obviously you can use any other tool like SEMrush and so on. Okay, so we have these two inputs, and let's just take a look at them. The first is this one from Screaming Frog. As you can see here, you just see it, right? And we want to get to the ChatGPT embeddings column, which is this one, as you can see. And we can see some certain numbers here for each of the pieces we have included in this crawl, right? But we can also see some errors. And these errors, if I open this, I will see that the message I get is that this model's maximum context length is something around 8.1K tokens, which is less words, because it's not as if a word is a token, right? A sentence with, let's say, 5 words can be more tokens, can account for more tokens, and that really depends on how the model we are using tokenizes the text we have inserted, right? And if we take a look at this particular example, we will see that this is a piece of content we did on v.io SEO strategy, organic growth strategy, right? This is a case study, and it's an in-depth case study. I would expect it to have somewhere around 7,000 plus words, and I understand why here we got this error. And even though we could find some workarounds here, for the sake of simplicity in this example, We let things as is, and we simply didn't, pay attention. Didn't, in other words, use these errors in our calculations. And how could we, since there are no embeddings, vector embeddings attached to these pages, right? I would say that in a similar vein, if you are doing such an analysis that's based on vector embeddings and that's based on the specific model we will see in a minute by OpenAI, it's fine if you get some errors because, I mean, it's rare that a piece of content will exceed this number of this word count limit or this token limit, to speak in a more technical language, let's say. So this is the first one, and what we are looking for really from this sheet, which is once again it belongs to our input in this particular project. We are looking for the URL of the page and the column I searched earlier with you on ChatGPT's embeddings, which is this one. Okay. Now the second one is this one. This is from an export from Ahrefs. Okay, and what we did is that we exported the keywords that Minuttia ranks for, and as an extension, Minuttia's content pieces ranks for. The tool we used is Ahrefs. You can use any other keyword data provider you may like and have access to. And what we get here is simply a list of keywords that our website has visibility for according to this keyword data provider and its URL. Okay. And so we use these two files as inputs for building a nice sequence of steps here, as you can see. Each step leading us closer to getting insights that we can use and leverage for better understanding our content inventory, getting information that's sort of hidden in there, trying to understand semantic relevance between the different, pages and keywords and whatnot, and to be able to generally plan better for the future after understanding what we've done so far. So there is a sequence of steps here that we have created. In the beginning, we install all necessary libraries. This is Python, by the way, and so we install all necessary libraries. Then we import any modules or components we may have to use for this project. And let me just say that this is version 2, because we have a version 1 where, in certain steps, we may see that we have to import a certain module that we haven't imported in the beginning. But then obviously we gather all these, and we like to keep things clean and have them as separate steps. That's why you see here many imports. These are the outcome or the accumulation of imports we had to do throughout the sequence, okay? And then we start inserting and importing, or in other words, uploading the two files I shared with you. One from Screaming Frog, this one over here, okay? And I would say that you always have to include, when you're running such a sequence of steps and you're trying to get to a desired outcome, it's always good to print, to include some print statements, just so you can see whether or not what you have came up with, or what you have uploaded in this case, is what is actually correct, is actually right. It looks right, so that then you can use it for further steps, or steps that maybe further down the line. So this is step 3, and then we start processing the embeddings. At some point, as you can see here, we upload and load the organic keywords file. Once again, we included a print statement here, just to be able to see that, yeah, this looks like the sheet that we have exported from Ahrefs, okay? And then you can hide that. Then, and this is important because this was sort of like a roadblock in this whole exercise, because we had to get embeddings for keywords as well, which is not something you can get from Screaming Frog, because Screaming Frog crawls the content, and based on that content, in the tool, you don't have to use any other tools or any code in this case. In Google Colab, you could get the vector embeddings by using OpenAI's API, right? But the same doesn't apply, or the same is not true for keywords, right? So we had our keywords here, but we didn't have vector embeddings attached to or generated for these keywords. And this is important because essentially by doing that, we would be able then to go and say that, or create and understand connections between these keywords and these pages that are also, in the context of a vector embeddings analysis called as documents, right? So we had to do that in Google Colab, okay, and that's what we did. The issue we encountered is that we weren't getting the right results, and the reason why this was happening is because even though we were providing the right OpenAI key that we created specifically for this project, we were using the wrong model. Okay, so you have to ensure that the model you're using in Screaming Frog is the same model as the one you're using here to generate vector embeddings for your keywords. Okay, and then if you go to openai.com in the subdomain platform, and you visit activity, and you choose the models that you have used. In fact, as you use a model, you will be able to see the usage of this model, right? In terms of API requests, tokens generated, the output, and so on and so forth, right? So this is the model that we use in this case. But as I mentioned, we also use another model which didn't quite generate the right output for us, and thus we couldn't match the vector embeddings generated for keywords to the vector embeddings generated for our documents, for our URLs, okay? But here we were able to do that by using the right model, which is a text embedding 3 small. And as you are using, let me take a step back and say that obviously you have to go here and generate a new API key, right? This is the first and most important thing to do. And I would suggest that you give it a name that is clear and maybe attached to the project that you're running. Or if you want to generate different API keys for different team members, members of your team, then you can do that and be able to see usage by member and whatnot. But in general, the activity is going to be displayed here for all the models that you have used, or any other team members have used, okay? And so we did that, and we got the embeddings for our keywords using the right model, and the same model as Screaming Frog, right? And we saved these keyword embeddings to a file, and we loaded this file, and we run a bunch of code here that allowed us to practically make a meaning out of all this data that we have added to this Google Colab, right? Then at some point, and I would say that steps 1 to 13, 14 are all, us trying to make a meaning out of the data. And then we slowly start getting insights that we can then use to better understand the performance of our content, and even use these insights to build a better strategy, okay? At some point in step 13, as you can see here, we compute cosine similarity, which I will talk about in a minute, because we also use that in some steps further on to come up with some very interesting insights. And here, step 14, we verify and clean data before we plot them. And we plot them, in fact, in this same step and start visualizing some data and understanding the relationships between the URLs that we have, not based on, our understanding of these URLs, but based on vector embeddings, which I mentioned earlier, okay? You will also see these URLs, these pages, being called as documents throughout the this sequence, okay? Then step 15, which I wanted to discuss a bit, and step 16, because they are very interesting. Now, we discussed at the beginning that this whole process starts from inputs, right? You have to have certain inputs, and based on these inputs, you can then get some outputs, right? What you get out of this code and this sequence of steps in Google Colab. And in our case, we got different things. And by the way, the sky's the limit here. You can get as many like insights as you can possibly imagine when analyzing this kind of data. And there are so many different and interesting, very interesting use cases for content marketers. And two of those, as you can see here, is this export that we got, this output, right, which is called document similarity table, okay? And obviously, and when we say similarity, we calculate that using cousin similarity, okay? And obviously, when the number here is 1 or very close to 1 as this one, it means that essentially we are talking about the same piece of content, okay? So you don't want to look at those, because you will get a document, a page, in other words, that's the same as another page. Where things get interesting, and you might want to filter out anything that's 1, where things get interesting is anything that's below 1, okay? Because this is where essentially we can get an understanding of the relationship and the semantic relevance, let's say, of one document, one page to another page. So let's start with the first one. And as you can see, the URL on the left, on the first column, is topical authority ratio. A piece we wrote back in 2022, maybe. And another piece that's called, on topical authority. If you think about it, even without visiting these two pages, right? A piece that's the URL, at least, is topical authority ratio, and another one that's the URL is topical authority. There is a chance that there is some information or overlap between these two pieces, right? This is why these two pieces have a very high cousin similarity, and so there is a very high similarity between and an information overlap between those two pages based on the analysis we have done so far, right? And if you scroll down a bit further, you will see that we have two other pages here that strike out as interesting: alternative keyword study and comparison keyword study. So what we have, the code we have constructed so far and the analysis we've done based on vector embeddings tell us that there is a very high similarity between these two pages, right? And this is interesting because it is in fact that there is an information overlap, I would say, or a common theme between these two pages, because both of them are studies of a certain set of keywords, in one case comparison keywords, and in another case alternative keywords. And it's very interesting that this code that we have created so far, and vector embeddings as the vehicle for giving us these insights, tell us that these two pages are have a very high level degree of similarity. Then we can see topics vs keywords and topical authority. This is in fact true. Topical authority and topics vs keywords, two other pieces of content. And let's scroll down a bit further just to see a couple more of these examples. Let's see, keyword selection, keyword mapping. I mean, this is spot on. Most of these are really, there is a very high information overlap between these pages, right? And I'm very glad to see that, because this is an indicator, a very strong one, that the results we have here, based on, once again, causing similarity, using the vector embeddings as a vehicle for making this analysis, is like spot on, right? Another one that we have here is what we try to do here in step 16 of our code sequence is that we try to calculate causing similarity for between keywords and documents and URLs and pages in this case. And so we can see, even though from Ahrefs, as I said in the beginning, we have, from this sheet over here, we have the keywords that each page has visibility for, but it may be the case that some keywords or some pages may have visibility for a certain keyword, but this may not be the best keyword. In other words, Google may have associated these pages with topics that may not be, and keywords that may not be the best for them, okay? And what we do here is that we get the keywords. In this example, we have the keyword outsourcing content marketing, and we map them to certain URLs, and we get a causing similarity. In other words, a level of similarity based on, and relevance based on the vector embeddings we have generated for the keywords and the URLs, okay? And these can basically point you, in some cases, in certain cases, in a different direction for the page if we see that Google has associated it with keywords that may be a bit off, okay? And this can be particularly useful in the context of a content marketing audit, right? Where you audit your content inventory, and at the same time, these can be very useful in the context of clustering content into, topics or internal linking, right? Because if you know that these two pages are very closely related and semantically relevant with a high degree of causing similarity, then this tells you that you can link from one page to the other. And of course, you can do the opposite as well. Like, you can link from this page to the other page. It goes in both ways, right? And going back to our Google Lab for a minute. So we saw steps 15 and 16. Then we started visualizing some things. In this case, we started visualizing clusters, and you can see that somehow differently visualized in this case, which is somehow more interactive. But you can see the clusters are very similar to each other. You can see that we have one cluster here, a second one with the somehow pink color, then one with green, one with light blue, and then one with yellow. And here, even though, once again, that's interactive, it's a different type of visualization, we can see a similar, we can get a similar view. And then we have step number 19, which is a keyword document similarity network graph, and it's interactive. In fact, it's HTML, which means that you can either double click on it and it will open in your browser of preference or the one you have open, or you can simply drag and drop it to your to a new tab, and a new tab will open. So it may take a couple of minutes to open this, but when it opens, it looks somehow like this. And let me just say that this is somehow limited, just because the content inventory where we are evaluating here and analyzing is a bit small, right? I mean, it's somewhere around 30 or 40 pages, something like that. And if you exclude pages that have been have triggered an error and we cannot take into account in our analysis because of the token limit we discussed in the beginning, then we have even fewer pages, okay? But what we have here is a very nice visualization of all the pages that we have analyzed, the documents, in other words, and all their respective keywords. Okay, the keywords they have visibility for. So the page here is topics vs keywords. I don't know if you can see it, but it's the page topics vs keywords. Okay, now if I move this, and you can see that there are some movements. And so the keywords near this page are the ones that this page has visibility for. And this is very interesting for, visualizing. Let's go to another one that's not so cluttered. Let's say, let's go to this one on outsourcing content marketing. As you can see here, it's almost as if we are visualizing different topic clusters, right? Even though that's on a page level, not on a topic level, right? So we can see in this case that the page outsource content marketing has these keywords, visibility for these keywords, and once again, this is interactive. This is why I click on these nodes here and I can move them around and whatnot. But this can be used very nicely for visualizing things and making analysis based on like how things look visually, right? Going back to our Google Colab, we have a few more steps and a few more analysis that we did and outputs that we got. Some of them in HTML, some of them, as you can see, we print here in the terminal, and we can visualize them. But all in all, I would say that this is the process of using vector embeddings to conduct a more thorough, more in-depth analysis of your content inventory. And I would say that the bigger the content inventory, the more valuable this process can be, because imagine if you have a content inventory with 200 or 500 or 1,000 or 2,000 pages, there would be way more interesting insights from coming out of this analysis, just because the size of the data set is bigger, right? And also, I would say that this is where things get really interesting. The bigger the content inventory, the more insights you can get. And at the end of the day, what matters is that all these things allow you to get more granular about your content inventory. And this is just one simple use case. Imagine if you can combine, which in fact you can do relatively easily with the sequence of code we have created here. Imagine if you can bring performance data like assisted conversions or conversions generated per piece of content, and you map those to specific topics and see what topics create the biggest, the highest number of conversions for you, and then try to build on top of these topics and cover other aspects of these topics by identifying gaps that your content inventory may have. All these are things that are absolutely doable. All you have to do is just follow a logical sense and logical sequence when it comes to how you analyze your data. Always you start with inputs, right? And then on the other end, you come out with outputs. Not all outputs will be useful or valuable, right? Not all of the outputs we have in the sequence are valuable, and we will use them to strategize. But all in all, this is a dynamic process, and the more data you have, and the better the view over what you want to get at the end of this process, the more likely is that you will actually get there. Okay, so that's pretty much it. If obviously you want to learn more about how you can use these advanced insights and not rely on just keywords or rankings or anything like that, you can feel free to reach out to us at Minuttia. We try to constantly push the limit of what's possible, and always try to find ways to, add more value to our clients. This is just an expression of that, one small glimpse of what we can do. And as technology advances, obviously we will do more things, and we will leverage technology to help add more value to our clients and anyone who partners up with us. That's all for now. Thank you very much for watching this video and staying with me until the end. And yeah, see you soon.